This reflection is for my array lesson I gave to my class. Looking at feedback, I think I did a nice job with providing and communicating the learning goals. We went over kid-friendly scales before we began our work. In each small group, I was very deliberate in hitting all of the scales based on what my kids needed, and let them know how to get to the level 3. Also, with my array group, looking for understandings of and conversations on if we really understand the piece to get to the next level. With assessments, I also think I did a nice job in that area. Kind of gave myself a 3 for looking ahead of time to see where they needed to go based on their needs. Starting out with engagement and movement and kind of doing informal assessments based on what they understand. So I was able to group for the following day, and just really making sure in each small group that I held for elapsed time and the one-step story problems, they were engaged and doing things that allowed me to informally assess them. For the area of content, you know, some of the small groups we had already gone into, so they were already chunked, so I knew right where we were for helping students process any new information that was coming. With my new area of arrays, I was able to give them problems to get different information from them on how they can build arrays and how the repeated addition and multiplication went in with that. Let's see, for practicing and deepening, I again use groups so I could understand their thinking by having them practice, and they did so with using whiteboards. They were asked to show their thinking to represent elapsed time problems as well as one-step story problems. For this, it's probably my weakest area. These things I rated myself on content were more in the 2 area, just looking for different ways for them to represent their thinking, and not really having anything for this area for the knowledge application lessons. For context, strategies that appear in all lessons, you know, I feel like I was able to highlight some critical information for that understanding piece to move to a level 3. Students were able to review content and revise their knowledge by correcting and explaining their thinking with arrays. So I do think that I did a nice job in that area with strategies that appear in all lessons. The context for engagement piece, the array lesson was planned out so students were excited to move around stations and share their thinking, and especially the lesson we had on the glass with using the paint markers. Students got really excited and they wanted to go up and they wanted to share their thinking and write. Trying to get kids engaged in our elapsed time problems by using their names and their interest, I think worked really well. For rules and procedures under the area of context, it was kind of tough with our array group because we already had a few students, very few, who were already high, and they went into an ELT group during our just regular time ELT. So they already had somewhat of an understanding, So, you know, making sure that they did not take the lead in groups and kind of overshadow those kids trying to learn. For relationships, I really liked I feel like it's always good with the raise, but you know, I have those reluctant learners who typically shut down when things are hard, but it was obvious by watching a few students that they were excited to share their thinking, and just letting them know that I see them and that they were doing a great job. Communicating high expectations, again, those reluctant learners, you know, Bella, Jackson, Joshua, Riley, they strategically placed in these groups so they're able to share their excitement and get them to participate in groups. So kind of my overall evaluation for myself, I feel like feedback and context, you know, I hit a lot of those design areas and probably give myself a 2.5. The content, I think probably again 2.5, just working on that, helping students go deeper and deepening those lessons. But overall, I think it went well. I think it was very engaging, and excited to improve on the content for next year and see how things go.